Yeah, at the end, you're gonna see that everybody has the power to change the world. That's what I do, I change the world.
It's not only me changing the problems that we have, it's me and all the newer generations coming to help me, and then they will teach the younger generations, and like that, maybe we will be able to fix most of the problems in the world. Hola, mamá.
Hola. Yo estoy muy contenta contigo, yo me siento...
President Trump confirms collapse of ceasefire with Iran but agrees to continue talks. UK police arrest suspecting killing of a former government minister, and we decome. And operatives of Nigerian police bust international cybercrime network arrested 22 suspects. This is the World News on AIT. I am Uyidia Oro. President Donald Trump says the United States has agreed to continue talks with Iran, despite declaring that last month a ceasefire between the two countries is no longer in effect. His remarks came after another week of military exchanges that heightened regional tension and disrupted maritime security. Washington is demanding that Iran publicly guarantee an end to attacks on vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global shipping route where recent hostilities have driven up oil prices. U.S. officials say unrestricted navigation is now a key condition for further diplomatic progress. Iran rejected Trump's claim that he requested renewed talks, insisting instead that he had agreed to receive a Qatari mediator in Tehran. Iranian officials also announced plans for Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to visit Oman to discuss maritime security and safe passage through the strategic waterways. The latest escalation followed attacks on commercial tankers that prompted U.S. strikes on Iranian military targets, with Iran later responding by targeting American military facilities in the Gulf state. Iranian authorities reported casualties from the U.S. strikes, while no new attacks were reported on Friday. But despite the military exchanges, officials on both sides acknowledge that diplomatic contacts have continued in recent days. However, Washington warned that failure to guarantee shipping security would have consequences, while Tehran says any violation of commitment would trigger a reciprocal response. Now, the Trump administration has temporarily extended work permit for hundreds of thousands of immigrants covered under the temporary protected status just hours before the document were due to expire. The extension applies to recipients from Haiti and 6 other countries, while federal authorities complete administrative processes. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service said the Haitian work permit will remain valid until July 24, while permits for beneficiaries from Ethiopia, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, South Sudan, and Myanmar will expire 1 week later. The move provides short-term relief for affected workers and employers. The extension follows a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling allowing the administration to end temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians. The program permits eligible migrants already living in the United States to remain and work legally when conditions in their home countries are considered unsafe. Rights organizations and labor groups warn that allowing the permit to lapse immediately could disrupt workplaces and expose hundreds of thousands of people to possible deportation. They argue that industries relying on affected workers could face significant staffing shortages. Now, President Donald Trump has removed the remaining members of the independent U.S. Election Assistance Commission, leaving the bipartisan agency without any sitting commissioners just a month before the November midterm election. The White House says the move reflects the administration's commitment to securing America's elections.
The commission was established by Congress in 2002 to support state and local election officials through voting system certification, election guidance, and voter registration standards. The latest dismissals followed the firing of 2 Democratic commissioners, the resignation of the latest Republican member, and the earlier departure of another Republican commissioner. The decision has intensified concerns among critics that the administration may exert greater influence over election administration ahead of the midterms. The agency had previously declined to implement parts of Trump's executive order requiring proof of citizenship for mail voter registration, a measure later blocked by a federal judge. The administration has also pushed for tighter mail voting rules and warned election officials about removing non-citizens from voter rolls. Those initiatives have faced multiple legal challenges, while officials maintain the measures are designed to strengthen election integrity.
An emergency crew in Missouri rescued about 20 people after a building collapsed at the Beckett Gateway campground during severe flooding caused by heavy rainfall. The campers had climbed onto the structure near the Black River before it gave way, forcing rescuers to pull them from the flood water.
Authorities said emergency responders carried out more than 90 water rescues involving campers and stranded motorists after several inches of rain inundated central and eastern parts of the state overnight. Flash flooding left many roads submerged and cut off access to several communities. The National Weather Service reported that between 6 and 12 inches of rain fell across the affected region as repeated thunderstorms moved through the area. Forecasters warned that the counties are popular recreation destinations with campgrounds and river activities, making visitors especially vulnerable to flash floods. Missouri governor declared a state of emergency and activated a state search and rescue team to support ongoing operations. The Missouri National Guard also deployed a helicopter to reach people stranded in areas inaccessible by road.
The Gordie Howe International Bridge linking Detroit and Windsor is expected to open before the end of July after the U.S. and Canadian officials resolved issues that delayed its launch. While commercial traffic is now anticipated to begin before August 1, although an official ribbon-cutting date has yet to be announced. The opening has been postponed after both governments said more time was needed to settle outstanding matters. The delay also followed earlier demands by President Donald Trump concerning U.S. ownership interest in the project, creating uncertainty around the bridge debut. Republican Senate candidate Mike Rogers said discussions with the U.S. Commerce Secretary indicated that an agreement had been reached and that a formal announcement will be made soon. The Michigan governor welcomed the breakthrough, describing the bridge as a symbol of long-standing cooperation between Michigan and Canada. Construction of the 1.5-mile bridge began in 2018 at a cost of nearly $4.4 billion, with Canada financing the project. Named after hockey legend Gordie Howe, the crossing is jointly owned by Canada and the state of Michigan. Now, Apple has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and two former Apple employees, accusing them of misappropriating confidential company information to accelerate OpenAI's expansion into consumer hardware. The case marks a major escalation in tension between the two technology companies. The lawsuit alleges that OpenAI systematically obtained Apple's proprietary information through the former employees' recruitment effort and supplier relationships. While Apple argues that the alleged conduct was intended to strengthen OpenAI's effort to develop hardware capable of competing with future Apple products. The two former employees named in the lawsuit are Chang Liu and Tang Yu Tang. Both of them previously held senior engineering and product design position at Apple. The company alleges that Liu improperly accessed internal system after leaving, while Tan is accused of transferring confidential supplier information before joining OpenAI. Apple further claims that Tang encouraged prospective recruits to bring Apple components to interviews for demonstration purposes. And OpenAI, along with affiliated entities including IO Products, has been named as a defendant, although the company had not publicly responded when the lawsuit was filed. Now, Cuba has suffered its second nationwide blackout in less than a week after another major failure left the island without electricity shortly before evening. But the State Utility Union confirmed the outage but did not immediately explain what caused the latest collapse of the national power grid.
The latest disruption marks the fourth island-wide blackout this year and highlights the worsening condition of Cuba's aging electricity infrastructure. Much of the country's power system dates back several decades and has struggled to meet growing energy demands. The situation has become more severe following restrictions on fuel supplies after the United States tightened measures affecting Cuba's access to imported oil. Cuba relies heavily on foreign fuel because domestic production supplies only a portion of its national energy needs. United Nations human rights officials have warned that continued fuel shortages are placing increasing pressure on essential public services and healthcare, particularly for vulnerable communities. Meanwhile, the United States maintains that Cuba's energy crisis is primarily the result of government mismanagement, even as Havana accelerates investment in renewable energy with support from China.
Nicaragua has revoked the legal licenses of a large number of lawyers in a move that critics say represents the latest stage of the government's crackdown on dissent. The action was reportedly carried out without official explanation after affected lawyers found their professional registration removed from the Supreme Court database. A United Nations expert described the measure as a purge of the legal profession aimed at eliminating remaining democratic safeguards. While human rights advocates say the latest development follows years of restrictions targeting civil society, journalists, religious groups, universities, and non-governmental organizations. Lawyers inside and outside Nicaragua reported discovering that their names and license numbers had disappeared from official records without prior notification. Those affected include political critics, lawyers living abroad, and others whose work had no direct connection to political activism. Analysts say the latest move further strengthens government control over the country's judicial system under the co-president Daniel Ortega. And the human rights defenders argue that removing legal accreditation weakens independent legal representation while limiting the ability of professionals to contribute to future democratic reforms. Now, the British police have arrested a 26-year-old man in connection with the murder of the former government minister and prominent Brexit campaigner Anne Widdecombe. The 78-year-old was found dead with serious injuries at her home in southwest England after officers responded to an emergency call on Thursday. Devon and Cornwall police says the suspect remains in custody while investigators continue to examine the circumstances surrounding the killing. Authorities also stressed that the case is not being treated as an act of terrorism or a politically motivated case. The police said the murder investigation is progressing rapidly with the specialist officers and forensic team deployed to establish exactly what happened. Examination at the property are continuing as the detective gather evidence and reconstruct the event leading to her death. She served as a Conservative Member of Parliament from 1987 to 2010 and held several junior ministerial positions under former Prime Minister John Major. She later became associated with the Brexit Party before joining the Reform UK, where she remained an outspoken political figure. Now, Prince Charles III has hosted Prince Harry, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and their 2 children in their first family meeting with the monarch in several years. The Buckingham Palace confirmed that the gathering took place at the Highgrove House alongside Queen Camilla. The meeting marks a significant step in effort to ease long-running tension that began after Harry and Meghan stepped back from the royal duties and relocated to the United States 6 years ago. Their children, Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth, were also present during the visit. Prince Harry had returned to Britain early in the week for a series of charity engagements that were overshadowed by widespread speculation about whether he would meet his father. Public attention also focused on whether Meghan and the children would accompany him for the visit. The opportunity for the reunion was considered limited due to the king's tightly scheduled official engagement and the family's residence in California. The timing was also influenced by the children's upcoming return to school later in the year. The visit followed reports of tensions between Harry and royal officials after an invitation to stay at Buckingham Palace was reportedly withdrawn when arrangements were not confirmed promptly. Now, thousands of Pitbull fans have set a new Guinness World Record after a gathering in the Balcaps during the singer's headline performance at the Hyde Park in London. But the organizers confirmed that 22,141 people wearing the signature look successfully established the new global record. The achievement celebrated a growing fan tradition in which a concert imitates the Grammy-winning artist's trademark appearance of suit, sunglasses, and shaved head. And Pitbull described the record as both an honor and a blessing while thanking supporters for making the event possible. The world record attempt was inspired by BBC Radio 1 presenter Red James and content creator Jack Remington, who encouraged fans to organize the mass gathering despite hot summer temperature. Thousands embraced the challenge, and they described the experience as unforgettable. But Pitbull later entertained the crowd with many of his biggest hits, while fellow performers and John also appeared during the festival. The fans said the celebration reflected the artist's ability to unite audiences through energetic performance and lasting musical appeal. Well, if you just joined us, you're watching the World News on AIT. We'll take a moment here, return with more report. Please stay.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, AIT_live, and AIT Livestream 1 on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Many thanks for still staying with us on the World News. Some more reports now. South African police have arrested a British murder suspect wanted over the death of his wife and 2 daughters in the United Kingdom. The suspect was located in Johannesburg suburb following international cooperation between South African and British authorities, where British prosecutors have authorized 3 murder charges against a 45-year-old British citizen of Zimbabwean heritage. The bodies of his wife and 2 daughters, aged 15 and 5, were discovered at their home in Bedfordshire. Well, earlier this week, investigators say the suspect left the United Kingdom through Heathrow Airport on July 4 before police released surveillance images seeking public assistance. Authorities later issued an Interpol red notice leading to his arrest in South Africa. And South African police confirmed that the suspect will appear in court on Monday while extradition procedure with the United Kingdom begin. Officials stressed that the country would not provide refuge for fugitives wanted for serious crimes. British and South African authorities are expected to continue working together throughout the legal process. The extradition proceedings will determine when the suspect can return to Britain to face trial. Now, Algeria has reopened its national airspace to fly to and from Mali, ending restrictions that had been in place since a diplomatic dispute between the 2 neighboring countries. The decision took effect on Friday and restores normal air travel between both nations. The airspace closure were introduced in April 2025 after Algeria said it had shot down a Malian surveillance drone that entered its territory. Mali rejected that account, insisting the aircraft had crashed within Malian territory instead. In another sign of improving relations, Algerian president ordered the return of Algeria's ambassador to Bamako. The ambassador had been recalled for consultations following the diplomatic tension between the 2 countries. The reopening of airspace and restoration of diplomatic representation signal effort to ease months of strained relations. The measures are expected to improve communication and cooperation between Algeria and Mali. Now, after 3 months on the run, suspected murder of multiple cybercrime networks have been tracked down as Nigerian police dismantled 6 major syndicates linked to international fraud, identity theft, cryptocurrency investment scam, online disinformation, and a multi-billion naira telecommunication fraud. At a briefing in Abuja, the Force National Cybercrime Center announced the arrest of 22 suspects, the recovery of hundreds of digital devices, and the uncovering of an alleged 7.7 billion naira fraud targeting MTN Nigeria's billing platform, alongside cyber-enabled investigation conducted with the United Kingdom's National Crime Agency and City of London Police.
The investigations followed petitions to the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, from the United Kingdom's National Crime Agency, the City of London Police, one of Nigeria's leading telecommunications companies, and members of the public. They led the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center to uncover alleged international fraud, identity theft, online disinformation, and a multi-billion naira telecommunications scam. Investigators say each case revealed a different phase of cybercrime. Truth manipulated. Millions watched the deception.
The suspect allegedly circulated manipulated video containing authentic footage of Very Dark Man and fabricated audio impersonating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR.
Foreign victims, hidden scam, digital trail ends.
Approximately 30 million naira was received from unsuspecting investors and subsequently converted into USDT cryptocurrency and transferred to wallets linked to the principal suspect.
Stolen identities traded like digital commodities.
People should remain alert, take time to verify who they are dealing with online, and report suspicious activities.
Quick profits, calculated deception, real losses. Fear spread faster than the facts. inside a multi-billion naira telecom fraud.
The syndicate fraudulently credited airtime to selected mobile numbers and converted the airtime into data bundles distributed to over 2,016 prepaid lines.
Police say investigations are continuing to identify other suspects, dismantle the remaining criminal networks, and ensure those found responsible are prosecuted in accordance with the law. Ada Ononye, AIT News, Abuja.
And more reactions have continued to throw the proposed reforms of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. Now, this time, a civil society group, the National Alliance for Democracy, has called on General Yakubu Gowon, the founder of the National Youth Service Corps and all former president of Nigeria, to urgently intervene in the ongoing proposed reform of the scheme. The group expressed a deep concern that some aspect of the reform approved by the Federal Executive Council could undermine the core objectives of the national unity, integration and cohesion for which the NYSC was established in 1973. In a statement signed by Lucky Eremusele, the national convener praised President Bola Tinubu for his consistent support for the scheme, but appealed that any changes to the NYSC are carried out in line with the founding ideals of the program. The group acknowledged the need for modernization, but advised against reforms that shift the NYSC too far towards commercial or skills-only focus at the expense of its unity mandate. He commended core members for their resilience and service over the decade, while urging the government to prioritize their safety, welfare, and the scheme's original philosophy in any review process. With that to wrap up the World News at this time, thank you so much for watching. I am Uyedia Orum.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for this new edition of Business Africa. Today in our program we'll cover the major trends in international trade and maritime freight. But first, let's get on with the show with our top stories today. The processing of shea butter locally has become a priority for several West African producing countries. Here we shine the spotlight on the ambitions of this sector.
We suggest that the state, together with interprofessional bodies, negotiate with international buyers so that processing happens in producing countries.
The geopolitical context weighs on the East African ports, heading for Dar es Salaam, a port suffering from the impact of piracy.
The cargo was supposed to be delivered in April, but it was delayed to mid-May. Our customer wanted to use the product in April, so automatically the deal vanished.
The market of urban mobility attracts new private operators in Kinshasa to the delight of residents.
Currently, I am in a taxi on my way to my destination. So instead of waiting at the bus stop with endless queues and all the hassle, I enjoy the comfort of my home until the taxi arrives and drops me to my final destination.
It is an ingredient produced in Africa and used in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals and food products around the world. I'm talking, of course, about shea butter, which is in high international demand. But is Africa reaping the benefits? The answer is no for several African countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, which have banned exports in an effort to boost local processing. A few weeks ago, Nigeria, which accounts for 40% of the global shea butter supply, also decided to suspend exports for 6 months. Our correspondent in Benin, Ologe Aidaso, investigated the issues surrounding this sector. Have a look.
The shea tree grows only in Africa. Its kernels, once processed, yield butter and oils highly sought after worldwide.